Did you ever feel like you were being a detective when you're being with a toxic person or a narcissist, trying to figure out if they're telling the truth, like what's actually happening, what's sneaking around behind your back, like what's going on? Did you ever feel like you're a detective? If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. I'm the founder of Raw Motivations, the creator of the NARC app, and your guide in the 45-day Clarity Challenge you can access at claritychallenge.net. If you like what you see here, talking about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, my journey with narcissism, then please subscribe. Hit that notification so you get notified when we drop new videos and when we have question and answers and live events on any of the platforms. But would love to have you a part of the community here. Well, when we talk about narcissism and we talk about there being a lot of lies underneath the surface, it's built on a foundation of lies. It's built on a false sense of what's actually going on. It's built on a facade, a mask that's put in front. And oftentimes it feels in that type of a relationship almost impossible to find the truth. Well, today we want to talk through some of the signs, the tools, the detective work, and what you have to know going forward of being with a narcissist and the detective work oftentimes involved in discovering their lies. Well, like I said, a lot of times narcissists have a lot of lies. Now, sometimes those lies are the overt kind of like, no, I didn't do that. And sometimes they're the covert kind of the lies of omission. The lies that they slowly leave out bits and pieces. They might tell you that they went to the store, but they don't tell you what they did while they were there. They don't tell you who they met up with. They don't tell you the stop that they made in between. Like different things that are like, I'll tell you the majority of the truth, but not the little piece that actually would incriminate me of something that I did bad or something that I'm shameful of. This is because it's oftentimes the easiest way to lie is to have it paired up with the truth. To have as much truth as possible with just a slight lie instead of it being a big lie. And a lot of times you'll see covert narcissists that will use this idea and this method to normally keep up with the lies and confuse you. Oftentimes it makes it really hard to be able to figure out what's going on because it is filled with lies. Majority of the time with narcissism, we're talking about shame avoidance. Of like, let's avoid the guilt and the shame that a person feels by hiding from it, by running away from it, by blaming, by projecting, by everything else but dealing with it. You'd be amazed how many people lie about so many different things. Like I've talked to people on one-on-ones where they're like, I found out that they had a different name. Like that wasn't even their name. Like they told me about all these past relationships that wasn't even true. There's like pieces of it that was true, but the whole thing wasn't even like absolutely true of what was actually going on in the past. Like they said they were this way when they weren't. They said they were with this person when they weren't. Even the aspect of like one person that fabricated this whole story of being abused in a certain situation that was never even true. And later the person caught on to it because they interacted with a friend of that person that told them the same exact story. And they realized that that story was true. The person they were with copied it so that it would make them appear more like a victim. Like, well, I can't help this. Had another person I was talking to with a one-on-one where they talked about a person that they'd gotten engaged to and that had ripped apart their heart, had broken them. And then later, when that partner actually met the family and brought up that person's name, they were like, what are you talking about? They were even never with that person. That never even happened. And the narcissist fabricated this entire story and used it throughout the relationship as a form of triangulation, comparing and contrasting. Well, you know, it's not like this, it's not like this. Narcissists lie a lot. They typically do it to manipulate and to control you and to hide from the guilt and the shame. To be able to hide from the things that are affecting them or the things that they're running from or the things that they don't want to expose. Well, when we talk about them lying, I want to explain some of the tools that they use to lie. Normally when I talk about this, I initially start off with the idea that narcissists distort reality. And when we're talking distort reality, I normally break it up into three aspects. They either distort your reality, making you believe something in the past that wasn't actually true, or get your focus, your perspective to change in the moment, or to be able to give you promises down the road that will never happen. So when a narcissist distorts your reality and confuses you in that way, those three aspects are the aspect of gaslighting, of love bombing, and then of future faking. Trying to confuse and distort the reality and the thoughts that you believe and the perspective that you've been shaped to believe by being with that person. Well, besides those ways, a lot of times we'll see narcissists that just lie on everything. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a big thing or if it's a little thing, if it's, a huge aspect that's going to get them in trouble, or if it's just like what they ate for lunch. Like, we see this all the time where they'll flip and they'll change and all this kind of stuff of like just lie nonstop. And a lot of times people ask like is it automatic? Is it something that they're just compelled to do? Is it like an addiction? Is it thought out? Is it purposeful? Like, is it actually going towards me? And a lot of times it's both. A lot of times it's a habit that has been built over a period of time, so that when someone says something that could invoke that shame or that guilt or bring out the possibility that I'm not the best person, or that, my lie is getting exposed, my mask is getting revealed, that it's just like automatic. Like, no, that didn't happen. This didn't happen. Whatever it might be. Like, it's just like an automatic feeling. And then it's like, now that I've put myself in this position, I got to figure out how to get out of it. So now I need to intentionally lie to make sure this and this happens. And so over a period of time, it becomes very automatic because it's a habit. It's a habit that forms over a period of time. It's just a really, really negative one and a bad one to be able to have. But it becomes something that is automatic and then becomes thought out. It's just the denial of truth. Like, I can't actually own up to truth. Oftentimes we see this the most in the aspect of omission. Of like, I need to hide in plain sight. Sometimes this could be the aspect of like location spoofing, where the other person has another phone. And so you think that they're at work, but they're actually someplace else. And you think that they're someplace, but they've actually spoofed their phone with another phone or with another location spoof or whatever it might be. We've seen it happen multiple times where people are like, no, they don't have time in their schedule to cheat because they're at the office so much. Well, literally, no, they weren't at the office so much. They just thought they were because they thought there was that level of transparency when there actually wasn't. Narcissists lie in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different aspects, to be able to hide the shame and the guilt, and to manipulate you and to control you. So this normally finds you at a place, at a crossroads in the relationship where you have to be a detective, where you have to start looking and examining the things that are happening in your relationship, trying to figure it out. Sometimes people go to the level of needing to hire a private investigator and getting evidence that the other person is cheating or being unfaithful, or that the money is getting hidden. And there's so many different aspects that you start to feel like, I can't see the truth. Now I need to get to be almost like a crazy person, like researching this stuff that I just have a gut feeling about. Like, it's not something that I'm like, oh, I see this. It's like, sometimes it's just a gut feeling of like, something's off. I don't really know. This is a place where sometimes you'll be putting like trackers on like their car, like phone taps, keyboard trackers, different things like this, and it makes you feel crazy. So I want you to understand, like, this aspect of what I'm talking about does not make you a narcissist. Sometimes people get confused about this. This aspect is trying to find truth when you know that something's there, when you know that something's wrong. And so with this, it's the idea of like, it makes you feel crazy because you're like, I feel like I'm almost like stalking this person, trying to find the truth. And trying to find the people that they had affairs with, trying to track down the money that they stole from you. Like, there's so many different aspects, and that goal of like finding the truth feels like overwhelming a lot of times. Because you're dealing with so many things at the same time. You're dealing with finding all these truths, that like the stuff that's hiding underneath. You're dealing with the emotional toll a lot of times of different betrayal, or that lack of trust that's getting broken because of whatever they're doing. And you're also dealing with the aspect of acting out of character, because this isn't normally how you would deal with a relationship, but you feel crazy because they've put so much on you. And they've tried to flip it around so many times that it's your fault. That it's not their fault, but it's your fault because of how you're acting. Well, a couple things you need to know before making a decision, and you need to know in order to make a decision, okay, is you have to look at what the narcissist is demonstrating, not what they're saying. What they're actually demonstrating. So many people get this confused. They're like, but they said they're going to get better. They said they're going to get the therapy. Okay, but actually, have they done it? Well, no, they haven't done it in 6 months because they haven't found the right therapist, because it hasn't really worked out, because of X, Y, and Z. Like, are they going to therapy? Are they trying? Well, no, but they're saying, like, you have to understand the words that we use oftentimes put us into the story and the reality that we want to believe, but isn't always the actual truth of the situation. We have to get really, really clear and really true with the situation, and also with what you want. So many times people want something that is completely different than what they're experiencing in their relationship, but that they're unwilling to make the difference or the choice of saying, no, this actually doesn't go the direction that I need to go. You also need to understand that you don't have to have cheating proof in order to leave an abusive relationship. Sometimes people lock on of like, if I just know that they were a narcissist or if I just know that they were cheating, then I could leave. But you're dealing with all this other abuse that's been demonstrated. You need to understand loud and clear, if you're with a person that's toxic or abusive, if you do not see any honesty, any vulnerability, or any consistent change, then you need to leave. Because your interests are not aligned and the direction that you're going is not going to be something that they're going to support you because they're building a foundation of lies. Don't wait for a label to enable you to be free. If you need help identifying and understanding some of the things and walking through it, I work with people on a day-to-day basis to help them understand the trauma bond and break it, to be able to get through the aspect of rumination and to be able to set healthy boundaries so they don't go back to that toxic person, and they also look out and avoid toxic people coming into life as well. If you'd like to interact, work with me one-on-one, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to be able to help you out there in your healing, in your growth, and in your change.